I was noticing the birds. Something I've been doing lately for myself when I'm too in my head is this thing called just listen for the birds. And it pulls me out into the environment. And even if there's no birds around, at least you are just being more present to the environment that you're in. So
I love
yeah,
that.
I like to listen for the birds.
It's almost like literally getting a bird's eye view.
Mm-hmm.
You zoom out
Yeah,
to the larger ecosystem.
exactly. Because it's easy to be like that.
Totally.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
shifts my energy entirely. So it's helpful.
I love that. Yeah, I've been thinking about this phrase. I don't know who said it, but that when your problems are too big, your vision is too small. And it's
That's
so
real.
true. It's like it's a really good shortcut to just getting out of your shit.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that, folks talk about, and you get in like deep states of grief, sadness, depression. It's really like you're looking through like this little keyhole into like a dark place. But when you zoom out, you see it's like a whole mural of all different colors.
All these things.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes literally it's that simple. We just need to change our
The
perspective.
perspective. I do it on my walks. I'm really drawn towards like windows and doors. And I took a picture of one of them recently, and just the thought came to me that sometimes the window is the door, and it's just a shift in your perspective.
Right. Sometimes you can
If
walk through.
you sometimes you can walk through, or even just like the window, because window is perspective, and if you shift your perspective, you can enter in through. It's a door. It's an entryway. Once your perspective has shifted to something else, it opens a door. So yeah, sometimes the window is the door. Just change your perspective.
Yeah. Are there any windows or doors you're walking through right now?
There's a lot of windows and doors I'm walking through right now. I think the biggest one, the thing that comes front of heart, front of mind, is this ongoing theme of relationship to home, and I've been on just a traveling journey, and I may have to make a stop back to where I came from, and I've been noticing a lot of anxieties coming up about that, or like maybe old stories, old narratives that I've been playing, and saying like, oh, I'm coming back for reasons outside of my own. Is it about other people or is it about me? Because if I go back, it's got to be something rooted for me, not just for others. So I've just been noticing how I'm speaking about it. And I'm like, if you just shift your perspective on how you're viewing something, because maybe you're also viewing it from the past and not, most importantly, not where you are currently. Like, the version of you that has been journeying and learning all these things and picking up all these different or remembering these pieces of self, that's who's returning. And so yesterday I was writing, just reflecting on home a lot, and in a lot of ways, well, home isn't necessarily a place all the time. A lot of times I think it's the land that speaks to you, but one line that stood out to me was home isn't a place you go, it's a place you return. And that could be a return into self, a return into a space, it's a return. To me, home is a return, not like a destination or a going. So yeah, that's the window and the perspective I'm shifting right now. And knowing that things aren't always so black and white or finite as my mind likes to make them.
Yeah, I love that what you're saying though, to be present to who's the one that's returning to is no matter where you're returning to in location, like
Yeah.
the one that's returning is different.
The one that's returning is different.
So the return will be different. But also like what is home, like where is home
Yeah.
housed?
Yeah. And that's deeply internal. Like home to me is, I think I've attached so much of it to physical space that I forgot that it is an internal home. And realized how much I was externalizing a lot of, I don't even know, externalizing a lot of myself, or what I like, disconnected from your intuition, like disconnected from this. Like, that's why I like to go to the womb in meditation, because that's like the seat of our intuition, and defaulting to all these external things when the answer, the knowing, is right in here. It's in here, it's in here. And just remembering that, that to me is the return, that it's nothing external. It's all right here. And yeah, I have the answers if I listen enough, if my mind can be quiet enough to really listen. And as I'm saying that, the fly wants to kick back in, but wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate. I mean, we talked about we're both in the midst of transition and travel, and that sense of knowing them becomes very important and like front and center.
yeah.
I think that's why it's felt like a practice to me
Yeah.
to be in travel and transition and not knowing, not having one home for life,
Yeah.
and having to like evolve that sense of home.
Yeah.
And like you said, like where you find that knowing in you, I feel for a lot of people it's like, it's funny how much like we do this and it's like it's here. And then for some people it seems maybe it's somewhere else, maybe they have more of like a knowing that's like kind of a from their higher mind or something like that. I leave it open to everyone to have their own way of connecting. But I find the deeper that I connect into my knowing, the deeper it goes into my body, right? So like I wonder at some point it might get into my toes, like it's like it just like roots down into me. And then it feels like it grows out from me too. So it's like the more that, like you said, that you kind of like make that space for unknowing, so that you can let your knowing speak.
Yeah.
Then it has more space to take up space in the way it moves you.
Yeah. It makes me think of the question, like, where does the truth live in you? And it is such an embodied experience, and it could look different for each person depending on, one, the relationship with the body too. Like, some people it is this like third eye knowing sense. Some people it is like more rooted down. Some people like it just depends on. But I think the common thread in that is the body. Like, it just lives inside of you. Somebody had asked me recently about, like, what was the question? Something around like people being as emotionally in tuned, or like the depth, like what helps a person get to that. And to me it is embodied. It's a reflection of relationship with earth, right? I feel like people that are more closely connected to land are so much more closely connected to themselves and able to express that in a way that, what I found at a time when I wasn't as connected to land, I wasn't able to express myself as clearly, or it just came from a different place. Whereas now it does feel like it's more from the heart. This is a friend that I said I got together with recently. So she's known me since high school in various phases and stages. We've had a large gap of not knowing each other, but she remembers me from then. And so experiencing me now, she's just like, there's just so much more that I don't even have words for it. It's just that feels like the representation of it, less reserved, less inward, and more expressive. More honest, I would say.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, there's something about, because there's a lot of good reasons to not be in our bodies.
Yeah.
I always feel like these days I try to lead with that, because while I love embodiment, I also wasn't in my body for good reasons too. And I think it's part of like the initiation being human. Maybe some of us get through staying in our bodies the whole time. But these days, there's a lot of good reasons not to be in your body and a lot of distractions that take you out of your body. So I feel like it's really important to not shame ourselves for being unable to connect to our bodies. And at the same time, to know that like there's just this possibility of like, wow, like, yeah, the power that I feel like I likewise was so inward and reserved as a kid. Like I was just thinking about this today, I guess, about how difficult it was for me to speak in front of my class or like to my family or to express simple things.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, was just because I had to find ways to not feel and express so much. And when you kind of minimize or disconnect from yourself for very good reasons, you have to find your way back home, back to yourself in the safest way possible. And sometimes life just isn't safe enough to do it. You know, it's like there are times when I wish I could have come back home to my power, to my sense of self. But it just wasn't the right time yet. My conditions weren't right.
The conditions weren't right. Yeah, there's I feel like we're always looking for where safety is, right? Like that inner child in you is like, where is it safe to, like, where can I say what I need to say? Where can I feel what I need to feel? Can I even go to the bathroom here? Do I feel safe? I think like that inner self is always looking for safety. And when you find it, it's like the person who's so reserved might actually not be that reserved, because when there's safe space to talk, then they're just like, have all these things to say. And to me, because how people have experienced that of me in the past to who I know myself to be, I'm like, that was also a time when I, for like some of the reasons you said, I was very separated from my body, very separate, just mind and body were in two different places. I've always done like things to try to connect, dance, things like that, but like it's like mind, body, heart were all different almost. And so bringing the heart and the body together like is another thing. Like I can be moving my body, but still there's still something that I'm not connected to. Like something is still disconnected. And so it takes time and conditions. The conditions are very important, like you said. And I don't think we talk about that enough, because it can turn into shame of the other person of like, no, there's something wrong with you. It's like, well, maybe the condition isn't right for you to even be safe in the body or like feel that level of surrender, release, more so release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been sitting with this as someone who grew up in a really, populated city and like worked on a lot of like social justice stuff that like we're constantly trying to find and create systems of safety and care and where basic needs are being met. It's like, of course, under those conditions, how are we supposed to find the rest and slowness and the space to get to know our bodies? And so some of the like, the idea of us being hypervigilant and anxious and like having a lot of these like symptoms of like mental health or like disconnection from our bodies is just a symptom of our systems. And like as people of color, as queer people, as women, as whatever identity that you have, how is it that like your body in particular isn't safe? Feels really important to just acknowledge, just to de-shame, like where it is. Like if for me, I know I like have found that even when I am in really safe conditions, if I don't feel that the people around me can hold the capacity of understanding a lot of these identities, right? Like that's how we, when there's like a white fragility in the space, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to speak about my issues with racism, then there's an unsafety in my body that
Yeah.
kicks up. And that's even with me feeling pretty safe in my body, like at home
Yeah.
in myself, coherent in myself.
But you're picking up on an external frequency as well.
Right. And this
Yeah.
is where we are so interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Like their nervous system affects my nervous system. And then all of a sudden we have this like,
Yeah.
either we have a coherent nervous system together, or we have an incoherent, like staticky system together.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in this, like how we acknowledge how much we impact each other, and that we never are separate in those ways, you know, like that no matter how much I meditate, like how much I center in my own power, if the people around me don't also hold me in power and don't also hold me in that sense of self-determination and all of that,
Yeah.
then we aren't creating coherent systems that allow for that, like environments, you know?
Yeah. I can only think about the trees as you're talking about, like the interconnectedness of that, and how they're literally through the ground, through the earth, connected to each other, right? And can feel what's happening from miles and miles of communications away, and can pick up on that, and can pick up on us too, right? Like there's I was saying in my drive-in, I was just in awe that the trees are able to keep their peace amidst humans' chaos and lack of peace, and how they are the embodiment of not letting external frequencies impact your own internal, like, being. And I guess that takes years and years and years and years of practice and being. But yeah, the how connected we are is how connected they are. And if we held that sense of like shared responsibility to each other, what could be different, and how we interact with one another, and the sensitivity we have towards the person next to us, consideration we have towards the person next to us. Yeah, it also makes me think of like co-regulation, and how we can even just now just help to like ease each other just in our own bodies.
When if we imagine ourselves interconnected, like we're in the redwoods don't have very deep roots, but they're connected to all of their neighbors just under the surface. And they're huge, they're so tall and ancient, and it's hard to imagine they don't have deep roots, because how could they be so tall?
How could they be so tall? You said something really important. They may not have the same deep roots as other trees, but they're closely connected to their neighbors. And so community is what keeps them thriving and alive, and being closely connected to your neighbors. And what it means to be a good neighbor to one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, actually.
And it's so beautiful to know that one of the most ancient beings here on Earth doesn't have that deep of roots. It's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
It's just super close and connected, and communicative, like you said, because they do send signals to each other. Like these ones have all been impacted by the fires, and yet somehow they survived. I think also because they're so close together. There wasn't much other brush than the little bits in between. So the fires couldn't really get that big on like other trees, because the redwoods are really like their own community.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's so much growth.
Through community. Yeah. And thinking of community beyond just them being the redwoods, like you were mentioning, the bushes, like the like just the greenery that grows around them too. Like there's so many different ecosystems that make up the neighborhood, and what keeps them growing, thriving, continuing beyond just the trees. Like it takes others as well. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, this is the true example of an ecosystem. The redwoods and what they've survived, the fires, and how what like rebuild and regrowth and rejuvenation with the land has looked like since then in just a short amount of time.
Yeah. We were just talking before we started about the composting and transformation. And I was saying when I was driving in here that I was really astonished that, because I hadn't seen this park since the fire, and how much growth there is and how much greenery and how much life comes from that destruction and from all that transformation. Sometimes we need to see it
Yeah,
to really believe
to
it.
believe it. And as we're talking, I can't help but think about what's happening in the world, right? In so many different places, and destruction, literal destruction. And it's hard to think about rebuild when something's like in the midst of and it's happening. But it gives me hope for what resiliency can look like in the future, and a coming together of not just one particular community, like for example Gaza, with where things are happening now, but like what that looks like globally, where people are, it's like the neighbors from across the world also helping with rebuild, and what that can look like, and what does it mean to be a good neighbor to the world right now in these different parts of the world. Sudan, like there's so many areas that are experiencing destruction, and that's a direct reflection of, you know, earth and life mirror each other. So what's happening to the land is happening to the people, and then looking to the land to see, like, well, then what does rebuilding look like? What does it mean to withstand? What does it mean to, yeah, just live again after destruction, or continuing to live amidst it all. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious in your life. I know all of us have gone through our own sense of transformation and destruction in the last several months. At least everyone I'm talking to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a way that you walk through that or have recently that you've found?
Yeah. I had to burn it all down and walk away. I had to for a second. I had to kind of strip myself bare a bit. Literally went into the desert because I have to. It's like I need to see it represented by the land, like how I'm feeling internally. I need to see it mirrored to have it fully, not necessarily make sense to me, but to feel understood and to understand where I'm at. And it helps me to see it in nature. And so rebuilding for me, or just like walking through fire, coming through fire, and recognizing the fire is my own. Like I have power to both destroy and rebuild and create. I think has been an important piece for me to remember my own inner power, and also take accountability too of like what you cause and then what you create. And coming through that, has been a lot of humbling, I would say. Having to just listen, not necessarily to any one thing in particular, but really listening around me, listening within me, listening when I probably don't want to listen, even when it comes to like others. When I notice myself wanting to like fight back to what's being said, it's a nudge for me. Hello, fly. Hello, friend. To lean in more. Because if I'm wanting to fight back against it, there's probably something I'm not hearing or not listening to and need to. So instead of, so yeah, part of that destruction has been to be deeply humbled in terms of like not having and knowing what that feels like, how that feels, and to listen to what you need, like actually need, not what you think you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
it's probably the thing you don't think you need or like don't want to hear, but you probably need to.
and sometimes it man, I love the way you said that. I feel because sometimes you need something and it doesn't then fulfill all your needs. It's like sometimes you need to be alone in the desert.
Yeah,
But you have other needs to be around family, friends, all those things, but it's not in that moment what you need to do. I've been in those different phases of solitude as well. And the points I was like, was I just bypassing working on my relationships and all that? Because I'm trying to, I don't want to not do the work or whatever. And it's like sometimes that's what you need
you
is
need to
literally
step
to
away.
not work on your
To not work on it
relationship.
because
Yeah,
you get to a certain point where you're not working on it, like,
yeah,
and then there's a very personal part of that experience where you have to just look at yourself in it, or look at
right.
yourself and how that then shows up in relationships, to what we were talking about before, return differently to whatever you decide to return to, or in whatever way you decide to return. Maybe you're returning to different people. I don't know whatever return means, but I feel like it takes this season of solitude to have to really, that is the working on relationships. You're working on the most important relationship. You're getting honest with yourself
And your sense of home,
and your
like
sense of home.
where
Yeah.
you're grounding your home in you, where your sense of self or sense of worth or sense of value comes
Yeah.
from. Yeah, and I love that you use the word humbled because I love the word humbled, but also humiliated
Yeah.
because they have the same root,
Yeah.
which is humus,
Humus.
which is earth. And so I actually thinking about like imagining if you let this process of transformation work you, it will humble you, humiliate you, bring you to your hands and knees to the earth.
To the earth. Yeah.
Which means really like a destruction and demolition of all that wasn't true. Like we were talking about, like the wildfires rushing through this area could be a metaphor for like, yeah, burning down everything that's not true.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that's true will stand, that if it is true transformation, then truth will still be there.
Yeah.
That you won't lose everything.
Yeah.
You will only lose what's not true. And but that takes a lot of humility, or at least like surrender of some kind, whether it's voluntary or not.
Yeah.
So then I do feel like what you're saying is it's like a process of letting go or being humbled or surrendering the parts of ourselves that actually get in the way of true connection to our sense of home, then to each other and community.
Yeah. Yeah. What What role has destruction played in your life?
Yeah, I've walked through many seasons of small and big ways that I've been destroyed or have burned down parts of my life. Yeah, I mean, I can think of, there was a moment when I just hit my rock bottom and it wasn't a choice. When I was overworking, when I was overserving, overgiving, I was like in this identity that it just literally, like, my body couldn't anymore. So it wasn't some kind of like courageous act for me to kind of let go of my life and move on in some kind of like noble way. It was like I was humbled in the worst way, where I had to let go of everything all at once, pretty much within a few months. Like my relationship, my home, my job, one by one, all those things like couldn't stay. So I feel like if there's any choice in that, like I wouldn't necessarily choose it again for anyone else, but I felt for me it was this huge wave of like, because it's almost like in that overwhelm for me, it was like the dam walls were cracking under the pressure of just how much I felt and was not actually expressing and not actually fully feeling. And as someone who feels really big, I can't imagine now, like years later, how that was possible
to hold
it. But I was holding this identity of having it together, of being everybody else's person. And having to look a certain way, to be a certain way. And not to say that I'm cured of that, but I think like that amount of guarding on my heart, on my power, on my sense of my own knowing, destroyed me. And I was extremely humbled. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was just like crying, wailing, screaming, like a mad, I was just like, not to make any commentary on mental health, but I was not well. I was not well. And luckily I had friends and people who kind of picked me up off the ground. But yeah, someone who I think even through that process, people on the outside may not have known, that what I was going through. Because I had this like high functioning way of like being able to still be very achievement oriented in life. I really felt emotionally and physically and energetically what it felt like to break, to like be broken. And that brokenness, though, as they say, is where the light comes in.
That's where it comes in.
And it's where the emotions flood out.
Because they can't hold anymore. Like that's, it's like you get to the point where only truth can exist. Like we talked about. And it's, you putting it that way helped me in retrospect to see what that was. Because I would tell people, I'm like, I only have space for the truth. I can only tell the truth. Like life has gotten me, broken me to a point where I can't hide anything anymore. I can't lie about anything. I can't hide. Like it's only truth. I can only say the truth. And that is the surrendering. And I feel like it's also such a spiritual experience. And from what can look like on the outside, and also what it feels like, is like a mental unwellness. Like I felt the same thing. I'm like, I am not well right now. Like I am not myself. I don't know what's happening. And there were some people, like I said, people that could walk with you beside that. And then there were certain people who understood that from the spiritual level of like, this is an initiation. and it's supposed to feel like this, and it's not understood by the outside eye, but it's breaking you down to, like you said, let that light in and rebuild you from literally the inside out and the
Right.
ground up. Yeah, it's you had mentioned like the relationship, the home, the job, and I feel like that's a lot of people's stories when those things happen. That's also like mine was like relationship, the home, like part of my work. But it was like big threes, or it's like things happen in threes, and it's like you're just letting go of all that you've known. And it's interesting to see what stood. So like my work still stood. That was the thing that stood. But it's also been in a slow crumble. It's like a slower crumble where I'm like, what is happening? Because it's shifting.
Right.
But other things just like completely dropped. But it was because I've experienced what it's like to get to the point of the body, like your body will get to the point of like, it's not going to lie to you. So if you're not going to surrender, it's going to surrender you. So I fear my body, like, and not in like a,
Well, because you know it won't
in a
let
healthy,
you lie.
right. And I know that if I don't do it, it'll do it.
Yeah.
I know it, like, I've seen it too many times. I've experienced it too many times to like, I'm like, I don't have to I'll do it first. And so it felt like there was something from within, like I'm thinking back to the time when I was ending the relationship and moving out of the place and all of this stuff. And it didn't feel like me. I was like, something beyond me is working through me, because if it was me, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I don't know if I would have the strength. So it was like something else was like,
That's so real.
took over. And it was like, if you don't do it, it'll happen in a way you don't want it to happen. So it's like, all right, I have to surrender. I have to do it. I have to do this. I have to be the bad guy. I'm sorry. Like, I have to put myself in a position that I probably wouldn't be in, but it's got to happen. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make sense to anybody around me. I was just like, I don't know. I'm just listening. I'm just listening. I'm just doing what I feel like it needs to be done, or what I'm told to do. And now I'm able to look back and see why.
And it's so clear in retrospect, right?
Yeah.
That's the hard thing, is like in the moment, because you're breaking a pattern or a cycle or something that's so ingrained.
Yeah.
You're literally breaking that identity.
A whole identity.
It's like your identity is still shifting in that moment, so you can't see yourself.
Yeah. And it takes, and this is why I'm so grateful to friends and people who have stood, like, or have returned in this, on the other side of this transition. There's some people that aren't there anymore, and then there's some people that have come back in, where I'm just like, whoa, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, here you are. But they're always mirrors that are reflecting you back. And so where I have had a hard time seeing, I'm like, have I transformed in this process? Like, who am I now? Like, what? I feel like I'm the same. I've been going through it. But people from the outside who are experiencing me now are like, oh no, there's a difference now. Or like when I talk to a friend, that I like to use the word, because it's a journey. I like to say, like, people have been walking with me on this, that has walked with me through this. They're like, no, from what you sounded like a month ago, a couple months ago, and what you're sounding like now, you sound different. And I'm like, so I don't, if it wasn't for like the mirrors in my life to reflect that back to me, I don't know if I would have fully seen it or fully believed that like this is the transformation that has taken place.
I love
because I'm just
that.
in it.
Oh, totally. I've needed that lately too, especially if I'm going through my transitions, and my dearest friends who really see me at, like, through all levels, you know, see to the deepest parts of me, and then see like all the stuff that's on the surface. I don't know what I'd do without that, you know, now, because I think about, we all need to be shown ourselves, like you said, because when we are going through something, we don't necessarily know it. It's like you can't watch a plant grow, you know. It's like it grows over time, and it's like a week later maybe you see a new leaf, but you don't actually know what happened in like that day or that hour or all the incremental things that led to that.
Yeah.
And it's in this like greater, you know, from a seed to a plant to like
Yeah.
its full expression is a whole process that's completely like a mystery in a
Yeah.
sense.
It's like a slow, silent growth.
Yeah.
It's happening beneath the surface. It's not always just clear to the eye.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially things like your voice changing. That is such a clear inner change.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like I do find, like we were talking about, because the voice has been such a transformation for me from being a really shy kid that felt like I couldn't speak in front of people to then reclaiming my voice in different ways. And literally feeling like so often as an adult, like stuck.
Yeah. You can feel it.
And
It gets you.
in the throat, like the tensing, or in the chest. Or that sense of not being safe to express or not being held in that.
Yeah.
And then to feel when my voice feels like it can freely speak. And then to this day, where my voice will tense up
Yeah.
is a really good indicator of who I'm with, like how I feel, where I'm at. And now it's kind of can feel the subtleness of that, which is really cool.
Yeah. You're listening.
Yeah.
It's a listening to the body, and it's a relationship then with the body, because you know it's language more like, oh, I can feel you tightening up. That's usually a sign of this, or like my stomach is doing that. That's probably that. Like that to me has been the most magical part of this experience, is like really intimately knowing my body's cues. I think before I would just maybe something like act on the cues, but I didn't necessarily now I understand the language. Like we have a dialogue, we have a communication, we have a check-in now. It's less separate. And I too have been on like this journey of voice and expression, and feel more called to use it in a way that, like, I've always been a pretty like sociable person. Like I can connect with people. Like I'll just spark up conversation randomly, but it's a different level of, now I'm a bit more selective, or like it's a different level of depth, and it's not, it's using voice in a different way, knowing when to listen and when to speak, and that you don't always have to speak, or like I would either be like very outspoken or very reserved. And then like now knowing the balance of the two, of when to pull back and when to come out.
Yeah, it's almost like, or at least for me, knowing also where that voice lands.
Yeah.
Because it's an inner trust too, of knowing I'll only use my voice where I know it will be valued and received and held. For all the times that maybe I, as like a social justice advocate, like screaming, fighting, like all directions. I think one of the lessons I've learned is like, oh, it's, there's certain patterns we get into where it's like, you're just trying to get heard.
Yeah.
And maybe actually it's like noticing where you're heard and then speaking there.
And also knowing too, like, at least for me, because there'll still be times when like, because it's fear, right? Like you're like, I may feel safe to say it, but because it's still like a muscle that was growing to say like, okay, let me say how I feel, or like, let me say I'm uncomfortable with this thing. Like it still might be tight trying to come up. Like I can feel it like trying to come out the throat, or like it doesn't come out with ease. And I've had to remind myself that just because it's not coming out with ease doesn't mean that it can't be said. Like it's a muscle, it's growing, and it's less about the response and how it lands, and more importantly that you just said it.
Yeah, I think that's for sure. Like before even knowing how it lands, you have to just practice
Saying
saying it. Because
Yeah.
probably in the practicing saying it, like you'll fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
at least for me, like, because you're getting to know your voice. You're
Yeah.
getting to know how you feel and how to connect. Like, how do I connect my emotions and my gut feeling to my expression?
Yeah.
And it will have some disconnect.
Yeah.
And so what you say may actually not be what you mean to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then it may not land for very good reasons.
Right. 'Cause it's like, oh wait, did I say that? I didn't mean it like that. I mean,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I could think there's so many times where I've like tried to go back and like redo the conversation, or like I meant to say this, and da 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 da, and people are like, you said what you said, but now you're just saying it in a different way that probably sounds like. But but it was me trying to, it was me practice. It was just building the muscle of saying the thing, and it may not come out pretty the first time around, but it was like I was doing what I could at the moment.
Totally.
And now, and I think that goes back to like being slower to speak, because it's like and being more intentional with my words and less reactive with the words and more responsive. Again, pulling in to then come out, because it's like, wait a minute.
Right.
Because my tongue could be quick too.
I know, it's like it could
super
go,
quick.
it could swing the opposite way. And then it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to express everything
I'm gonna
now. I'm
say
going to set all my
And
boundaries.
it's
I'm
just
gonna,
like, well, wait a minute. Like
Hold
one
up.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I think we've talked in a previous conversation of like being a fire sign, and like things can come off like, it's like learning how to to control my fire, like slow burn, or like, just
I've been
not
imagining it as like
fire shooter.
Oh yeah. Don't, not spitting fire. Yeah. It's like, imagine here. Yeah. It's like then setting the whole forest on fire.
Right.
Yeah. I've been imagining like this bubble around me. Because there's like the boundary that you hold. This is who I am. This is what I want in my life. And usually think of that, or I have at least, as like what we don't want in that, right? It's like, I'm going to keep the things I don't want in my life outside my boundaries. But also there's self-containment too, which is like literally like containing my fire.
Yeah.
And I think, in my like swing from no voice to voice, like I've definitely been like calibrating, okay, like how is this one to assert what I have to say? Or
Timing.
it's like, how do I fully share this in a way that can speak to this unique person and how they are? And then when there is that like bigness of like that expression, at times, especially for me, the practices, especially when I know someone can't hear what I have to say, like they just haven't shown me the capacity to hear what I'm saying, then to contain. And to no longer try to share, because it will just lead to this dynamic of like that same social justice, like shouting at like the system that doesn't respond.
And cannot hear, two different languages. It does not compute.
Yeah. And not to say that we shouldn't be doing that work, but we all know like the difference between like when there's a movement that's making strides because the work is landing in a place where there's movement, and when it feels like you're just shouting at a brick wall and it's like actually not helping anyone. You know, it's like losing energy and there's no response in that. And that is, I feel like it's like that inner bubble of like holding all that energy, actually.
Because then it becomes protectiveness.
It becomes self-protection, and then it's also redirecting that energy towards my creativity, towards my friendships, towards the people that do hear.
Yeah.
So it's like a way to, it's both protect and preserve.
Preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like a lot of us learning through the experience of what it feels like to overgive and overexert, I should say, of the energy, because you just want to be heard so bad. And then I think that was a big piece of my like having to just step away from it all, because it's like I need to remove myself from all of these places that I'm continuously exerting this energy and not getting in return. So what do they say? The definition of insanity is you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. I'm like, let me remove myself.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, to figure out what within me, how do I get my needs met with myself if I'm not getting it met from the person that I'm expecting it to come from, when they're saying like, I cannot give you this need. And then learning to be okay with that and shifting and discerning what the relationship has to be. But it's reflecting back of like, okay, what do I need for myself then? And how can I give that energy back rather than trying to exert it outward? How do I replenish after all of that? And so for me, stepping away from it all was also to replenish. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I've been in that practice too, and finding where in your life the well springs are. You know, like think of like a wellspring as it's like constantly replenished.
Yeah.
And not that like there are people in our life that, you know, going through tough spots and like everyone's going through their stuff, but there are people in our lives that are those well springs. You know, it's like that where we connect, it's like a flowing system that, you know, like this is a reciprocal relationship.
Yeah.
This is a relationship we're both getting our needs met. And it might be that there are other needs that, like you go elsewhere for. But I've been really sitting with, especially for me, feeling like I've connected so deeply in myself that my level of desire in relationships is like, I need people in my life who like feel like they're connecting into that too.
Yeah.
So that when we're together, it's like this like
overpour.
Yeah, it's like this infinite exchange. And not that like, again, like with time and energy, those are limited. But it's more about that sustainability of connection and the nature, of course, like the trees, like they're these well springs of wisdom and beauty and presence. And so when I connect with the trees, it's infinite. Like I'm regenerated. I feel like our connection deeper when I leave than before I came.
Yeah.
And
it's like you have to learn relationship through the elements too. I don't know if that's been your experience with like trees have taught me so much about being in a relationship.
Yes.
so much. Yeah. Just from listening, especially what it means to listen, what it means to receive in return, which is sometimes funny to think about. And with, it's not an animal, it's a living being too, but just different than human, right? But you're able to get such reciprocity in a different way.
Without them doing
anything. Yeah, thank you. I was looking for the word. I'm like, I can't even find
actually,
the
I
words
had
for
never
that.
put it that way before, but I think
The definition of being.
Yeah, it's funny because it's just the absence of the doing in the way we see it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not doing anything, but I went to these giant redwoods when Gaza was just starting to be bombed, and I was really distraught and just like weeping watching the news. It was the first week of like when that was first occurring, and I went to the redwoods and asked like, what can I do? Like what, like, because they're so wise. And I could feel like what they were sharing with me was that in this time of destruction and violence and genocide, to be a presence of peace, to actually embody peace, is one of the most powerful things you can do.
Yeah.
That I imagined if we could just transport like all the officials that were making these decisions to a redwood grove.
Yeah.
that they could not help but be affected and feel how absurd
Yeah.
their actions were,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because there's something in connecting to a redwood or any tree that you see yourself like a mirror.
Yeah.
You see who we are like on a deeper level,
Yeah.
and that we weren't made
To be
for
that
this.
way. Yeah. 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 I just want everyone to have their own personal tree.
I know.
That's really what I want.
Everyone pick a tree. Let us
Everyone
know
have a
what your
tree
tree is.
that you can go to
Yeah.
and just remember. And just remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I've spent the last couple months in Sedona, and the land has shared with me in many different ways how in another life I was a tree in Sedona. And when I got there, there was, and this, like I said, I've been there a couple times this year. A few times it's pulled me back. But there was just such an opening that happened when I got to that land that was like a homecoming, a remembering, a returning. And the area, but I also could feel like a deep sadness because what it is now is not what it was all these hundreds of years ago. Like what the golf courses, resorts, all these things now, when it used to be land and trees. I just kind of got lost in that thought. I think it just still baffles me, like from a core level of what we've made land to be. But that remembering of what was and where we came from, right? Like now something that's a golf course has stripped away some of the, like there are the trees that are still there, but the same way you were saying of the people that are kind of in control of this madness right now, if you just could go to a redwood, go to a tree, like the people who are just on these lands that are so ancient and wise and want to share, right? And want to just want to share their wisdom, share their space. But the ways that we use it and abuse it versus being with it. I just got off on a tangent because it just made me think about like what the land is being turned into in comparison to like what we could be using. We could be with it rather than against it.
I also hear you saying it's this thing about you're saying that trees teach us how to listen and the land
Yeah.
teaches us how to listen. And I'm curious for you, what's your process for listening, or like what would be an invitation to people of like how to begin? Because I know that for myself, when I started listening to trees, and we talked about this, and to the land, it came intuitively. I've most of my life moved pretty intuitively without knowing it, I think. Like I didn't realize the way I made decisions like would often seem like strange to other people, and I realized later it was kind of like an intuitive way of making decisions.
Yeah.
But it didn't make me, initially I still felt kind of like this is weird because our society has conditioned us to think that trees are matter, that land is matter, and that it doesn't have life or intelligence or spirit to it. So there's like an unraveling of our own mind in order to open to listening to the land or to a tree. I'm curious if you want to share.
Yeah. I almost want to like go and do it. But really how I started listening more was on my walks. And when I felt like there was a tree, and it could be the tree right outside wherever you are. Usually like I would just start there and sit with it. Sometimes you can share how you're feeling, and listening is a lot to me in the pauses, right? Like when I work with the body, it's like asking the heart, like, what do you need, or what do you want to share with me? And then be patient with the response. And I think the same is true for trees and land. Be patient with its response, and you will hear something. You can ask a question, or you can just sit there and wait. But I think it's being not even still, just pausing to listen to what's being shared. Trees can hold whatever we give them. And I think that's the beautiful thing. You can go to it with something, it'll give you something back. And to know that there's a space where you can be held, to me, is that's what feels the safest. Because I know a lot of people don't always feel that way in their everyday life with the people around them. But there usually is a tree nearby somewhere. And if there's a moment where you feel like you need to be held, or just need to be listened to, a tree can listen. Yeah. And then just be patient with its response. And then the birds. Yeah.
Bird zooming out.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is such a beautiful practice and way of describing. I almost feel you connected everything that we've been talking about just in that, because it's like you're saying, listening to your body is the same as listening to a tree, in a sense, because it's that same intelligence that of nature.
Yeah.
And the being, and that part, that wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the wisdom we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
that
you.
was really beautiful.
That was so beautiful. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, please.
Thank you for opening us up in your meditation.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me to this space. This is incredible.
Yeah. A bit of shade. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sweaty.
I got sweaty too.
I'm